Joe Biden has announced he will be canceling up to $10,000 in student loan debt for most borrowers and $20,000 for Pell recipients. It's a very contentious issue, but my friends, both the left and the right are wrong about this. On the left, they're saying he's not going far enough. He should be canceling all debt. Well, that doesn't make sense. College graduates are the highest income earners in this country on average, and giving them free money makes no sense. It also will be a contributing factor to inflation. But on the right, they're simply saying maybe you should pay back the loans that you took out and be responsible for yourself. And they're sort of right. And the left is sort of right, but they're both, everybody's wrong. Everybody's wrong, and I'm right. Okay, well, I don't know that I'm right, but I have an opinion that differs from the left and the right. Certainly, I can respect the left's position because I think these loans are predatory. They're targeting 18-year-olds who are now struggling to have families because they're laden with debt. And certainly, I can understand the right's perspective that, you chose to take this loan out. A bunch of us, we didn't go to college. I didn't. Actually, I went for like 1 quarter at a community college. And the reason I didn't go is because I come from a family that couldn't afford to do it. And I'm not going to take out loans to go to college for uncertainty. That was just me. I know a lot of people who were tricked, manipulated as young people by predators. These are people who want you to go to these indoctrination centers, trick you into going to these colleges with no guarantees but indentured servitude. So there's a middle ground. But I will say what Biden is doing is wrong. So I don't completely agree with the right. I'm actually in favor of student debt forgiveness, but not this way. And I'll explain. First, by showing you a quote from Alexis de Tocqueville. Probably pronouncing that wrong. He says, quote, "The American Republic will endure until the day Congress discovers that it can bribe the public with the public's money." And this is exactly what's happening right now. College loans, it's cash given to people, cash in their accounts, so they can go to college. Now, I'll tell you what bothers me about this. I know a lot of people who went to college and they used their college loan money for going to bars. I know people who bought stuff. I know there are stories of people who took out student loans and then used that money to start a business. So when you get this, Joe Biden canceling debt for most borrowers, 10 grand, he's just bribing people. He's not solving the problem, which I think needs to be solved. He's just bribing people, but they're still locked in indentured servitude. Now, this may free up some people who are just around the $10,000 number, and with this forgiveness may free them of debt that I get. Let me read the story, and I'll do this. The Washington Post says Biden to cancel the $10,000 in student debt for most borrowers and $20,000 for Pell recipients. Fox News says Biden announces student loan handout as national debt soars. This from Fox News, inappropriate headline in my opinion. Okay, this is framing and this is opinion. Whether it's a handout or not, that is editorialization. I'm not a fan of this. Let's break down the issue, though. And I want you to hear me out on this one. I don't think I have all the answers. I don't think I'll put it this way. I could be wrong about a lot of this. But I don't think the right is solving the problem, and I don't think the left is either. The left is kicking the can down the road, and the right is basically saying you should have been more responsible. Let's address the issue and talk about this. The Post reports White House officials are planning to cancel up to $20,000 in student debt for recipients of Pell Grants as part of their broader announcement on Wednesday of student debt forgiveness. 4 people with the matter said. The extra debt forgiveness for Pell recipients would be in addition to the expected cancellation of up to $10,000 in student debt. So we're talking about $30,000? See, that they didn't say. The White House plans are only expected to apply to Americans earning under $125,000 per year or $250,000 for a married couple who filed taxes jointly. Oh, don't you love it when the rich get richer? Bro, homeboy goes to college. He graduates college with lots of debt. He then earns a $250,000 salary. On that salary, he finds a nice young thing and says, honey, when you're with me, you're going to raise the kids. I'm going to do the work, and we're going to have $250K. We're going to clear about $20K, about $22 or whatever $1,000 in cash per month. After taxes, we'll have maybe $13,000 per month to spend. More than enough to cover everything. Here's the best part. When we get married, that extends my tax relief and my debt forgiveness. This is a dude who's making $250K. And I get the idea, joint taxes, because the woman could be making 125 and the man could be making 125. But let's just say this, bro, you're making 125K per year, so the government gives you free money. Let's read. Roughly 43 million federal student loan borrowers would be eligible for some level of forgiveness, including 20 million who could have their debt completely canceled, according to internal documents shared with the Washington Post. The White House estimates that 90% of relief will go to people earning less than $75,000. The president, you know why? The people who got those good jobs paid their loans off and are now going, what do I get? Talk about a brutal kick in the balls. That's the problem I have. Take a look at this video from the Daily Wire. This dude, it's in 2020. He's talking to Elizabeth Warren. Actually, let me play this. Let me see if the audio will play.
I was hoping to teach you a question. Yeah. I'm on Medicare and I'm having hard time.
Yep. This guy's about to talk to Elizabeth.
Hello here.
I just want to ask one question. My daughter's getting out of school. I've saved all my money. She doesn't have any student loans. Am I going to get my money back?
Of course not.
So you're going to pay for people who didn't save any money, and those of us that did the right thing get screwed.
No, it's not anybody got screwed. When we
Of
started,
course we did. My buddy had fun, bought a car, went on vacations. I saved my money. He made more than I did, but I worked a double shift.
Okay, it's hard to hear, but this guy, this is an old video from 2020. He said, I saved all my money. My daughter doesn't have any student loans. Am I going to get my money back? Of course not. Is that a joke? He said, so you're going to pay for people who didn't save any money, and those of us who did the right thing get screwed. Yup. They want this, bro. Here's what happens. If you send your kids to college with, and this has got 18,000 retweets. You send your kid to college, you pay the bills, and you say, you know what? We're not going to eat some nights because I want to put my kid through college with no debt. You get nothing. Now, if you were like, I don't care, that's your responsibility. Take the loan out. Have the government pay for it. They forgive a large portion of that. You can't do that. There needs to be a real solution to the problem. So let's get to the nitty gritty on this stuff, huh? I am in favor of student debt forgiveness, but not in this way. Here's the problem I see. We want young people to have families, right? All right. How do we do it? How do we get these young things to have families, to buy houses, to help the economy? They need money. So they need to make more money or they need to clear their debt. I think these student loans are predatory. I'm sure y'all know people who took out student loans. I know people who are in their 40s who are like, yeah, I've paid back $50,000 on a $40,000 loan and I still owe $20,000. And it's like, wait, what? So you're going to end up paying $70K total on your $40,000 loan or whatever? And they're like, no, it'll be like $100 because interest keeps going up. Wow. Okay, well, that's a problem. I am not a fan of that. I like the idea that people could go to college to get, skills. I don't like what colleges have become. So maybe we got to do away with this system. Here's where we start. First, before anybody gets any money, we have to stop the loans. You can't just give cash to people and then keep the machine churning. That's where the left is wrong about this. They're right in principle. These loans are predatory and they're a problem. And we got to free this up if we want kids to join the adult economy and stop talking about adulting. Yeah, they got to get out of indentured servitude, man. So the problem here, predatory loans. Now, the right says, well, you should have known better. Now, I disagree, man. I mean, to an extent, I think, yeah, you should have known better. But come on, man. We're talking about 18-year-olds being told you have to do this, otherwise you won't succeed. That is societal pressure and manipulation. Here's the solution. We got to stop the loans outright. No longer allow kids to receive any loans like this, period. Now, for the conservatives, let me tell you, you don't like college and indoctrination? Guess what? Without the predatory loans, they ain't going to these indoctrination centers. Now, the left is going to get mad. Like, no, you can't do that. You can't take those loans. Well, hold on. I don't care what y'all think. I don't see how we're going to be giving away $10,000 to $30,000 per person, and then we're going to keep the machine churning. You want to solve this problem. You want to stop the predatory lending practices. You can't just forgive the debt and have the debt come right back. That makes no sense. We'll be dealing with this problem every 5 years. No. We stop the system. Now, here's what I think we do right now. Here's a solution. If you have student loans, here's my proposal. Hey, any politician who hears this, feel free to pick it up. Here's what we do. We abolish interest rates on these loans, just like that. For any loans moving forward, actually, no loans. No loans moving forward. None. You can't get a loan to go to school. I'm sorry. I just say no to that. If you want to get, maybe there could be like a private bank loan on your own personal credit. That's your choice, but not the student loan system. All right. You can borrow money from whoever you want, but the way the system's set up, gone. Current people who have debt, interest rates, gone. You got to pay back what you borrowed, no interest. Now, for those of you that already paid interest, let's say you took out a $10,000 loan to go to school. You didn't need as much as some people. And you've paid back $5,000. Let's say $2,500 of it was interest, so you still owe $7,500. That interest you paid, so you paid $5,000, $2,500 is interest. We apply it to the principal. We suspend the interest, we abolish it, we apply your interest payments to the principal. Now you only owe $5,000. But guess what? You owe $5,000. Now hold on. I can already hear y'all saying, but Tim, what about people who have paid off all their loans? They're not. Oh, no. Here's the best part. If you paid off all your loans, we apply your interest payments to your principal. So if you paid, let's say you paid $10,000 in interest and you got $30,000 left, you now owe $20,000. But let's say you paid $20,000 in interest and there's $10,000 left. Well, that means you're going to cover, here we go. We apply to the principal, all right? Then you are debt free. Your principal has been paid. But what about that extra 10 grand? Tax credit towards your income tax. And going out into extended years. Now, I assume for most of these people, college degrees, that $10,000 will cover most of your taxes for the current year. If you only owed $7,000, then next year you get an additional $3,000 credit until that interest is applied to your taxes. I think the whole system is predatory. And this, here's the best part. It ain't a handout. It's the money you've already paid being applied to the system. So it's a net zero. You still got to pay back your principal, but the money that went in, there you go. Why? Because I think these interest, the interest on these loans was a manipulation on the American people. And we want our young people to get out, find work, and be able to have families and buy houses. You know what this will do, freeing up this debt, clearing the system? Instead of being indebted on student loans, they're going to be indebted on mortgages. This means for the older folks who put all of their money in their retirement in their property, your property is going to be worth more because you're going to have more buyers. This, good thing. Now, the Republicans are right. I think they're right when they say that you shouldn't take on these loans in the first place. So I would put it this way. If you want to borrow money to go to school, it should not be through this system. Grants, I think, are fine, whatever, but that's still kind of coming from taxpayers' pockets. College needs to be a choice you make. It needs to be you pursuing your passion you know for sure you need to pursue. Here's the problem we have with colleges these days. First, the obvious, they're indoctrination centers of weird crackpot ideology. But there are a lot of things you got to go to college for. You want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, and for the most part, you got to go to college. All right, so here's what we do. College is, I'll tell you my view. Let's go back in time. I hear these stories all the time about how you need to go to college to get a good job and how our boomer parents were telling us, if you don't go to college, you're going to be a garbage man. The funny thing about that is like garbage people, because garbage persons. Wait, that actually sounds garbage man, and it sounds like an insult. Waste management professionals. Yeah, apparently they get paid well. Many of them have union contracts. Some are even private companies. So I don't think that's a good example. You'll be flipping burgers. I mean, if you're flipping burgers at a fancy restaurant, but you know what they mean. They mean you'll make little money. You got to go to college. Okay, well, that's a lie. It's always been a lie. Always been a lie. I'll turn back the clock, go back in time. I heard this from my parents. You got to go to college, right? Why? You see, they'd say things like, you know, when I was younger, I didn't go to college. And this is what I'd hear from a lot of boomers. I don't want to single out my parents because, you know, my dad went to college, my mom didn't. And I heard this from a lot of people. They said, when I was younger, everyone I knew who went to college ended up making tons of money. And I didn't, and I didn't make tons of money. Therefore, you should go to college to make tons of money. Broken logic. Makes no sense. You know why? Because back in the day, when the boomers went to college, they didn't need to. Nobody was going to them and saying, you have to go to college. They were saying, you don't have to go to college. You can raise a family of 5 on a high school diploma. We all did it. You can do it too. See, the greatest generation was able to do that. So they told their kids, you don't need college. But then how come the people who went to college made so much money? because those are the people who are passionate. That's it. Somebody was like, man, I really want to study X. I really want to be a lawyer. I really want to be a doctor. So they said, I'm not going to settle for a high school diploma and raising a family. I'm going to go to college. And you know what? It was a lot cheaper. Tuitions have skyrocketed. And they went to college and they got their degrees, but they were pursuing passion. And with that passion, they made more money. I'll give you an example. Timcast.com is a successful business. I did not go to college, but I had passion. I pursued my passions, turned it into a business. If no one was pressuring you to go to college, you were just pursuing your passions. And in doing so, found success. Now, Mike Rowe says, don't pursue your passions, pursue, what you're good at or whatever. But this is my point. I pursued what I was good at. There's a lot of things that I'd love to do. Great. I'd love to go film skate videos all day. I'm not the best skateboarder in the world, far from it. I'm actually decent, but whatever. It's a hobby. I'm not going to go try and become the greatest skateboarder in the world and enter these contests. It's nuts. Plus, I'm 36. No, but you know what I was good at? I was good at this, and I just kept doing it. I liked doing it. It worked out for me. Some people aren't good at things, but they want to do things. And I find that most people who want to do things they're not good at, it's because they want a path to easy money. That's what college is to kids these days. Their parents are like, path to easy money. No, it's not. It's indentured servitude. And if you don't have the passion to drive you, you ain't going to be successful. And this is where we are now. Young people were told to go to college when they should not have been told to go to college. Now college, with the grant system, with the loans, the tuitions keep getting jacked up. They've become bloated and ideological trash. Stop going. That's the solution. So we get rid of the loans altogether. You can't forgive loans and then keep them going. Sorry, I'm not okay with that. So I hear these stories. I know boomers. I have family members, and they tell me about, my friend went to college. They made six figures. Yet doing what? Computer science. Why were they doing computer science? They've always really liked computers. Yeah. No one told them to go to a recruiter, talk about what they liked, and then got suggested to major in computer science. Because how many people? I think something like half of all kids switch majors. And then something like 20 or 30% never even use the degree they got. What a waste of time. And now I'll lay it on for you. First, let me just make sure I make that point. They're just bribing voters at this point. But I just want to tell you, man, college degrees are a detriment to your career. It's been this way for a long time. You look at people like Peter Thiel. He funded this dude who started something called Uncollege to convince people not to go to college. You got to just get good at something and then build upon that. What we're seeing now is people who apply for jobs and say, I have a college degree. We go, okay, what does that college degree do for us? Here we are at timcast.com. We want to hire people. We're looking for, film producers. We're looking for OTT. We're looking for developers. We want to do OTT apps, things like that. You come to me and say, I have a degree from this university. And I say, so what? What does that do for me? Am I supposed to assume you're better at your job because you spent 4 years of your life in an institution? You come to me and say, I didn't go to college. I say, I don't care. Show me something you've built. Like if I wanted to build a golden statue of Bocus, my cat, am I going to hire a guy who says, I have a degree in statue making? Or am I going to hire the guy who's got a whole bunch of statues in his front lawn that look awesome? I'm going to be like, can you make one of those for me? Yep. Awesome. Let's do it. Why would I waste my time crossing my fingers that this piece of paper certification is going to get anything for me? This is the reality. The people who go to college because they're told to go to college don't have the actual work to back up their skills. Now, a doctor, okay, you got to go to medical school. Lawyer, you got to pass the bar. I don't think everywhere requires law school, but typically you got to go to law school. So that I get. You want to be an academic working in the sciences? Okay, well, that is happening at universities. Totally get that. Music management, music business. I know people went to school for music business, and I'm like, why? What are they teaching you? Nothing. There's one thing you got from it. They say, well, I met my professor. My professor introduced me to people. And I'm like, okay, I guess it's worth something. You know what's worth more? Actually going out to venues, giving business cards and your social media information these days to managers and saying, we got bands. Hit us up if you ever need to fill a slot. If you've got any last minute stuff, plus we'll send you some demos and try and book shows. We'll all make money. Then all of a sudden you know all the venue owners. You know all the managers. Someone comes to you and says, can you find a venue for this show we want to do? We're looking for this many people. You're like, I got you. Then all of a sudden you're meeting these bands. You get a band, they open for a big band. You go to a venue and say, hey, I got a band. They're really, really good. You need any opening acts? Like, yeah, we actually have this big band playing. We got Metric. They're playing a show. They've requested, they're looking for openers. Let me connect you with their manager or their producer, whoever. I'm just throwing out band names. Going to college ain't going to get you that. Waste of time and energy. So, when I hear people talk about the ideological stuff, I'm like, yeah, it's bad. The real problem is we're setting up kids for failure through these institutions and indentured servitude. Break the system. What does Will Chamberlain say? Seize the endowments. There we go. All right. You know what? I'm in favor of forgiving all student loan debt if the money comes from the university endowments. If that's not going to happen, this is just bribing the public. So I'll say it one more time for those in the back. Yes. Freeze interest rates. They're gone. Abolish them. You got to pay back what you borrowed. If you got money, you got to pay it back. We're not going to put that burden on other people. The interest you've paid will be applied to the loan itself, but you still got to pay back what's left. If you've paid more in interest than what remains, we apply that as a tax credit on your yearly tax filing. So if you make $100,000 a year and the government comes and says, we want $35,000, you say, okay, that $5,000 in interest will be applied to that. I only owe 30. Boom. That's how we solve this problem. Tell me if I'm wrong and what I've missed. This is my opinion on the matter. I've thought a lot about it. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.